Welcome back to your YouTube channel. And for today's video, we're going to start a family series where we talk about different aspects of our childhood and how it's affected us. Part 1, we're going to focus on our childhood and growing up. So stay tuned. Chaotic and dysfunctional, I think
I remember I got to a point where I was just like, I just wish the cops would just take me away now. Like, I was tired of it. I was just so tired. I was so tired of the fighting, the cops coming, and then my mom lying, trying to downplay on what happened, and it was just kind of like, I'd rather just be somewhere else. Anywhere but there. I remember I would think about that.
I remember my mom being very stubborn. Very, very stubborn. I remember one time sitting in the living room, and I remember I was sitting there, and it was my mom, my older sister, my older brother, and they were talking about like finances and money. The two oldest being very persistent about like what they thought was like the best thing to do for the family, which was like them trying to save up money to buy a house. And my mom was like, no. My mom was like, nope, we're not gonna do that. I say what goes. You're gonna give me the money that I ask of you, and I'm gonna make all the decisions. And I remember sitting there and being very upset and being very mad at her and being like, why aren't you listening to what they're saying? It makes perfect sense. And so I remember being upset and being like, why can't you just listen? And I feel like that's been the way I kind of remember my mom in my childhood, is like being a very stubborn woman, not apologizing and not recognizing when shit would go bad.
But I feel like I saw that side of her more once my dad was out of the picture. When my dad was in the picture, she was background noise because she allowed a lot of things to happen. The way my dad would punish us.
But I think he would also treat her as a child too, right? Because I felt like he manipulated her in so many different ways. He would brainwash her into thinking so many things, and my mom was just like head over fucking heels. She would have slit her wrist for that man. And she put herself and that relationship before everybody else, because she allowed some very terrible things to happen. And in my mind, I'm like, how can you? I'm a mother today, and I'm like, how could you? I think that's a part of me that I don't understand. I think that's a part of me that I don't think I care to understand, because I'm like, I'm a mother first.
The abuse, the hitting. And I already knew when my dad wasn't having it and one of us did something, it was going to go bad. It was going to go really bad. I remember once he hit me so hard, I was in 4th grade. I couldn't sit at school for a week. And I remember people would ask me, I'm like, no. I would never say anything. I was always so scared.
Our parents did a really good job at teaching us how to suppress every single emotion. Why? Because for one, they never showed it. And 2, they were always negative emotions or negative things that they had to say.
Or if they did, they were very, very, very small glimpse, because that was as good as it was going to get. Seeing the things that he would do to my mom, how he would hit her, how he would degrade her, how he would treat us.
But I'll just quickly say that he did it behind our backs. I think we found out because we were nosy and we would spy on them and we would like listen to doors.
Yeah, but then it got to the point where he was doing it in front of us. Because I remember hiding, and the oldest trying to intervene, and they'd
get fucked up. He'd fuck them up, and those weren't even his kids. The 2 oldest weren't his kids. My mom allowed it, and he would like fuck them up for dumb shit, dumb stuff,
bad grades, getting home late, not doing things his way. My dad was very, very controlling, and when things didn't go his way, he would like teach you a lesson, and his lessons were not nice at all. He would do corporal punishment on us. Mm-hmm. Like, he would make us stand on egg cartons, hold books, kneel in rice, hold books
for an hour.
And he would sit there and he would watch you.
And if you dropped the books, you were holding them again for another hour.
I felt like the whole time it's like you constantly live in fear because you don't want to fuck up.
Yes.
You don't want to fuck up. You don't want to get anybody angry because you already know how it's going to go.
And I think that when you grow up in a household that's full of like, punishments of that sort, like corporal punishment and just like hitting and stuff, you just fear your parents. He definitely had mental health issues because it was like from day to night. And I remember like my dad was really taught. I remember like there's a couple times where I was like, I had to have been like 5 or 6, and he would just like launch me up in the air, and it was like the greatest feeling ever. But those moments were never like long lived. I remember just feeling really scared all the time, like not knowing, is he gonna hit us? Is he not? Is he in a good mood? Is he not? Is he gonna, fuck with my mom? Is he not?
I actually thought at one point he was gonna kill my mom. I seriously thought that. My dad would get so crazy when she would leave him that he would say, I will kill you or I will kill them. Literally. I will never forget one Thanksgiving he had a knife to her neck and he's like, if you don't get back with me, I'm gonna kill you in front of her. And I was like, what the fuck? And I'm just standing there like, we were sitting at the table for Thanksgiving and he did that on more than one occasion. And I was just like, endure from him. We're terrible, very terrible. He cut her brakes once. She crashed.
Was pregnant. When she was pregnant with Caroline.
He would kick her. There was one time where he kicked her when she was pregnant because she found out he was cheating. And he would cheat a lot too.
Oh, yeah.
He would find himself a young girl and then he would leave off with her and do whatever the fuck he wanted to do and then come back, and that's how it was.
But he was also very manipulative and he was very charming and he knew how to
get what he wanted.
Yeah, for sure. And I think my mom, like, I feel like she never put up a fight. She never really, my experience, like, she never really, like, put up a fight in the sense where she was just like, I'm done, or...
I think there was times where she would, because when she would leave him, I'd be like, this is done. But then, he would come back and swoon her and be like, maybe I made a mistake. Maybe you are going to change.
But then you see, to me, that's not putting up a fight. To me, I'm saying, like, her actually leaving him, like, permanently, because he was just so toxic and so bad to her and so mean to everybody else in the family that it was just like, like, I can't do this anymore. And up until the day they actually, like, officially separated, it wasn't even by choice. Like, she had to. She didn't have a choice.
No, and then I even thought that after he left, things would get better. No. They didn't. Nothing got better.
I think my mom just got sadder and madder at the world, and now it's like, well, now, because my mom didn't work a lot of the time that my dad was while they were together, because he took care of her and he made enough money to support her and the rest of us, even though he was a fucking penny pincher. But when they finally weren't together and she realized, like, I have to take care of these 8 kids and take care of them by myself full time, I think she just became this very, like, sad, bitter woman.
Yeah.
Because I remember after that, like, anytime we were playing or trying to have a good time, she'd be like, like, everything bothered her.
She was always mad.
I don't remember having, like, a close relationship with my mom as a child. Like, I feel like there's a point where, like, as a kid, you learn to trust your parents and, like, really confide in them, and, you want to be around them all the time. And I feel like with my mom, that didn't happen. I felt like it happened with my aunt, because for a short period of time, my aunt that lives in Mexico, she came to stay with us. How long did she live with us for? Like 2 years?
Yeah.
It was like 2 years. And it was like right around the time when I was like starting kindergarten. And I remember, like, my aunt would brush my hair. She would, like, change me to go to school. Like, she did a lot of the things that my mom should have been doing, and had this, like, growing this relationship with my aunt that I think should have been my mom. And so I feel like as I got older, that bond was just never there for me.
I feel like I had a few incidents, very, very few incidents where my mom kind of, like, let her guard down and was, like, vulnerable, where she would, like, have physical contact with us, like a hug, and really showed, like, that sweet side of her. But
I felt like those were counted. I felt like I was able to count those with my fingers, like, the amount of times that it happened. And the only time that I ever remember my mom apologizing, I remember I was like, I had to have been like 6 or 7, and she beat the crap out of me, and I don't remember why. I know I did something wrong, but I felt like she was overdone, and, like, she, like, overly punished me with a mad fucking cintarazo. And that's the only time I remember she came into the room, and I was crying, and when I cried, and she, like, put my head on her lap, and she was, like, stroking my hair, and she was just saying how sorry she was. She didn't really mean to hit me that hard. And it's the only time I remember, like, her actually being genuinely sorry and have remorse for what she did. Because when she would give us beatings as we got older, She was like, "Pa que aprendas."
And it was sometimes it was over petty shit.
And you know, like everybody interprets it different. Like I remember, like you wanting more of like that mom attention, and my mom I think gave it to me because I did really well in school all the time, and she cut me a lot of slack, and I didn't have to wash the dishes as much, and I didn't have to clean as much, and I didn't have to babysit as much because my excuse was always like, well, I'm at school or I have things to do for school. And I think my mom would praise me, and I think my mom's hopes for me was that she wanted me to become a doctor. And so I think she kind of had like this certain image in her mind of like what she wanted for me and all this stuff.
And then, you know, my older sister would fight her on it. So then it was like I always got the short end of the stick on doing shit that I didn't want to do, but I got stuck doing it. Like whether it was cleaning or babysitting or whatever it was. I just think it sucks growing up always being on edge. Mm-hmm. Always being thinking about them and never yourself. Like I can't even really think of a lot of things that I wanted to do that I enjoyed because it was just like, no. I think the only time it was when we played outside. That was it. But even when we came to asking for stuff, I didn't really like it either.
What do you mean you didn't like it? What does that mean?
Like I didn't even, to the point where I didn't want to ask for like things that I wanted.
Mm. Well, I mean, I think after hearing no for so many times, it just becomes like the normal. And I think just my overall childhood experience was just one that wasn't very memorable and that I don't really care to really think about, and because it wasn't memorable in a positive way. And also too, it's just like I remember there was so much that gets taken away from you from your childhood because you had to clean and you had to cook and you had to do all these other things, and then you're worried about your parents, and my mom talking about how she couldn't afford to pay the rent and being on food stamps and it not being enough, and her, you know, not being able to, didn't have a car, and all these issues that were coming up. And it's like those are burdens that our kids don't need to worry about, but we did
at a very young age. So we had to grow pretty fast.
The last memory that I'll say is I remember there was one time we were living at the Maringo projects. I mean at the apartments. We were living in these apartments, and I was like, I had to have been maybe 6th grade, around there, maybe 6th or 7th grade. And my mom had to go do something important, and everybody else, I don't know, wasn't home or couldn't watch my younger siblings. So I'm kind of like in the middle. So after me, I still have 3 younger siblings, a sister and 2 little brothers. And I actually had to stay home and take care of them. And given the fact that I was a kid myself too, so I'm like, I didn't know how to take care of them. And so I remember one of the rooms was right next to the heater, where the water heater was at, and the kids, my younger siblings, they were acting out, like they were wilding. So I'm watching them, and the room was right next to a water heater, and I didn't know what to do with them. I was like losing my mind. I was like, what am I gonna do with them? They were acting out, they were yelling, they were crying, they were every possible emotion that I could have felt, I was going through that moment, and I just didn't know what to do. And I was like, where's my mom? Like, I don't. And I remember that I told them to go to the room, that I was going to do something with them. So I put them in the room, I locked the door, and then I grabbed the belt and I tied the belt around the doorknob, and then I actually crossed it into the heater so that they wouldn't get out. Wow. Because I didn't know what to do. And I was like, and I let them in there for a while, and I think they ended up falling asleep. And I didn't feel bad till I got older. I was like, damn, I did that. That was so mean. But it's like, I didn't know any better. And it wasn't like, it's not like your parents teach you, like, this is the way you take care of kids. You just see what they do.
A lot of the things we were thrown like to the wolves, like figure it out. Like, you should know. You know, a lot of things, the way my mom came about it was like, you should know. Mm-hmm. What the fuck do you mean you don't? And it was just kind of like, what? Like, you know, so you had to like kind of fake it till you make it, you know, which sucked. Because I'm like, these are the last things we should be
worried about
or be doing.
Right, like that's her job.
Like when Christopher was little, I would put him in a chair and I would tie a belt around him and then give him cereal. So he wouldn't walk around.
Yeah, I remember that too. We used to tie them on the chair. Because it was just like, we didn't know. You just don't know. But, I mean, overall, like, you know, it wasn't good. We didn't have good parents.
No.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't talked to her mom, what is it, 8 years now? Or 8 or 9?
I don't know. I lost track, to tell you the truth. I don't know.
I think we're going on 9 years, like, not talking to her, and it's just, a lot of it is in our childhood.
It's revolves all around that.
It's deeper, it's complicated, it's horrifying, it's nasty, and we'll eventually make a video about that, but
and my dad committed suicide like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's just what it is at the moment. And I don't think anybody should ever sugarcoat when they have shitty parents.
And not every parent's gonna be good. And granted, I think relationships with parents can be complicated and all that, but I think for some of us, like, we had to draw really thick lines in the sand and say,
that's enough.
You're not a healthy person to be around.
And I think that's the hardest, because you're like, well, that's your mom. Well, that's your dad. Well, that's your brother and your sister.
Like, society has these really fucked up rules of the things we should and shouldn't do. And for me, no, that doesn't cut it. I want to have healthy relationships with people, and I don't have healthy relationships with a large part of my family. So I choose not to talk to them. And that's my choice. And this is our experience, and this is our truth, and this is the things that we've been through. And people don't have to agree with us, and people might look at us, with one closed eye and be like, and that's fine.
Because a lot of things changed for us when we cut those toxic ties. And it wasn't just about us anymore. It was also about our kids too. And it's just like, do we really want them to see that side? No, we don't. We lived it, and it wasn't nice. So it's just like, we don't want to put them through that either, or give them a glimpse of what it was, because of family. And
I think in the next few videos, we'll go into a little bit more depth with, how our childhood affected us, because I think there's also very specific incidents that have happened to us, like in our early adulthood, that have shaped us. How do we move forward? How are we dealing with it today? How to heal from a toxic family, undoing a lot of these behaviors and habits, forgiving them. Doesn't mean you need to talk to them, but forgiving them and what that looks like. And just other ways that it's affected us that's really been impactful. And how to move on so that you live your own life and you start your own family, or you make a new family like the way we've learned to. And really, at the end of the day, I think really what it comes down to is just appreciate the people that are around you, that do love you, that support you, that care about you. We hope you enjoyed today's video. I don't think talking about family dynamics is easy. At the end of the day, we're only going to share our personal experience. We're not going to speak for any of our siblings. We know that they have their own experience and they see things differently than we do. This is how we feel. We hope that you can share with us in the comments or in our DMs how, some of the things that maybe you struggle with your family, that you're struggling with right now. So we hope that you like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you in our next video. Bye. Bye.